So good day again, and our next topic is the computer organization. So this is the computer organization, and as you can see, nasa baba naman yung source natin. The organization and architecture. In describing computer system, distinction is often made between computer architecture and computer organization. So, computer architecture refers to those attributes of a system visible to a programmer, or put another way, those attributes that have direct impact on the logical execution of a program. Example of architecture attributes include the instruction set, the number of bits to represent various data types. Example, the numbers and characters, I/O mechanisms, and technique for addressing memory. So, what is computer organization? It refers to the operational units and their interconnections that realize the architecture specification. So, examples of organization attributes include those hardware details transparent to the programmer, such as control signals, interfaces between the computer and peripherals, and the memory technology used. As an example, it is an architectural design issue whether a computer will have a multiply instruction. It is an organizational issue whether the instruction will be implemented by a special multiply unit or by a mechanism that makes repeated use of the add unit of the system. The organization decision may be based on the anticipated frequency of use of the multiply instruction, the relative speed of two approaches, and cost and physical size of a special multiply unit. Note, historically and still today, the distinction between architecture and organization has been an important one. Many computer manufacturers offer a family of computer model, all with the same architecture, but with differences in organization. Consequently, the different models in the family have different price and performance characteristics. So furthermore, an architecture may survive many years, but its an organization changes with changing technology. So what's the structure and function? So a computer is a complex system, and contemporary computers contain millions of elementary electronic components. How then can one clearly describe them? The key is to recognize the hierarchical nature of most complex systems. So, hierarchical, ano bang pinaka-right dyan? So, system is a set of interrelated subsystems, each of the latter in turn hierarchical in structure until we reach some lowest level of elementary subsystem. Hierarchical nature of a complex system is essential to both their design and their description. So the designer need only deal with particular level of the system at a time. So at each level, the system consists of a set of components and their interrelationships. The behavior at each level depends only on a specified abstracted characterizations of the system at the next lower level. And at each level, the designer is concerned with structure and function. So there are differences between the structure and the function. So the structure is the way in which the components are interrelated, while the function is the operation of each individual component as part of the structure. Hopefully, clear sa inyo. So, ito, function. Dito tayo mag-focus sa function. In general terms, there are four main functions of the computer. First is the data processing, data storage, data movement, and the control. So the computer, of course, must be able to process data. The data may take a wide variety of forms, and the range of processing requirements is broad. However, we shall see that there are only few fundamental methods or types of data processing. So it is also essential that a computer store data even if the computer is processing data on the fly. Example, data come in and get processed and the results to go out immediately. The computer must temporarily store at least those pieces of data that are being worked on at any given moment. Thus, there is at least a short-term data storage function. So files of data are stored on a computer for subsequent retrieval and update. So as you can see here at our sa right side, no, this is the operating environment, source, and destination of data. So this is a functional view of the computer. So dito yung control system. So from yung data, parang cycle lang din siya. Yung control mechanism papunta sa data movement apparatus, going to the operating environment, then operating environment, going to the data movement apparatus, control mechanism, data storage facility, then punta na naman sa control mechanism. Ganun din, parang nagkaroon ng breaking down dun sa control mechanism, going to the data storage facility and data processing facility. So finally, there must be a control of three functions. Ultimately, this control is exercised by the individual who provides the computer with instructions within the computer system. A control unit manages the computer's resources and orchestrates the performance of its functional parts in response to those instructions. So at this given level of discussions, the number of possible operations that can be performed is few. As you can see at figure 1.2 depicts the four possible types of operations. So A, B, C, and D. So that's yeah. So yan yung four possible types of operations natin. The computer can function as a data movement device and simply transferring data from one peripheral or communication line to another. It can also function as the data storage device with data transferred from the external environment to computer storage, read and vice versa, right? So the final two diagrams show, as you can see in our sa diagram natin, operations involving data processing on data either in storage or root between storage and external environment. So that's the function. So pag sinabi nating function, ulitin natin, no? It's function, data processing, data storage, data movement, then yung control. Ito yung pag ito po yung function operation of each individual component as part of the structure. So, let us discuss naman yung structure. Okay, yung structure of the computer. So, in the figure 1 is the simplest possible depiction. Okay, so ito po yun. So, basic depiction of a computer. The computer is an entity that interacts in some fashion with its external environment. In general, all of its linkages to the external environment can be classified as peripheral devices or communication lines. So we will have something to say about both types of linkages. So we have the central processing unit or the CPU and controls the operations of the computer and performs its data processing function. So as I discussed a while ago, no, this is the brain of the computer. So often simply referred as a processor. So main memory, it stores data. So I/O moves data between the computer and its external environment. System interconnection, some mechanism that provides for communication among CPU, main memory, and I/O. There may be one or more of each of the above components. Traditionally, there has been just a single CPU. In recent years, there has been increasing use of multiple processors in a single seasons. Each of these components will be examined in some detail in later lectures. So, however, for our purpose, the most interesting, in some ways, the most complex component is the CPU. Its structure is depicted in Figure 2. Its major structural components are, ito po yung major structural components ng CPU natin. Yung una is the control unit, controls the operations of the CPU and hence the computer. And we have also the arithmetic and logic unit, the ALU, perform computer's data processing functions. So, register provides storage internal to the CPU, and CPU interconnection, some mechanism that provides for communication among the control unit, ALU, and the register. So, each of these components will be examined in some details in the next lectures. Okay? So, ngayong Figure 1 natin, the computer top-level structure. So, yung computer sa computer natin, dito yung central processing unit, main memory, system interconnections, then input and output, or the I/O. Input and output. So, sa Figure 2, the CPU. So, sa CPU natin, ito yung computer natin na meron tayong I/O, yung dito yung system bus natin, yung CPU, then memory, then the CPU, ito yun. Meron din siyang structure dito, yung registers, arithmetic and log-in unit, then internal CPU interconnections, and this control unit. Okay, again, we have another clue, the 7th clue, letter S. Okay, so that's the end of my lecture. But before that, let's have an activity. Activity time muna tayo. So, mechanics is, okay, screenshot this photo and put on the box your correct answer. Send it to your, actually not on my Facebook Messenger, on Google Classroom. Okay, so yung mga nakikinig, I think malalaman nila that this, you need to send it to Google Classroom. Okay, pinalitan ko na po yan. Dapat Google Classroom. So, the correct answer will reveal on the next module. So, meron tayong, okay, papangalanan nyo lang po yan isa-isa. Okay? So, the correct answer will reveal on next module and you need to send it on your Google Classroom. So, titignan ko siya sa Google Classroom. Hindi na sa aking Facebook Messenger para hindi ako ma-flood ng messages. Okay? So, 4 picks and 1 word. So, if you get the correct answer, that is your first clue for your project and proceed to the next module to get the next clue. So, yung first clue natin, yung mga binigay ko sa inyong mga letters, no? Aayusin nyo yan at sa next, dahil yan po ang magiging clue ninyo sa mga susunod para sa ating project 1. Okay, so if you watch this video, ito ang gagawin ninyo. Okay, just comment your name and block and ano yung instruction ko dito sa activity time. Isulat mo. Sasabihin mo lang naman, okay, isabihin mo doon sa comment section na isasubmit ang activity time answer sa Google Classroom. Yun yung sasabihin mo. Okay? Your name, your block, and i-comment mo dyan that the activity time will send to our Google Classroom. Okay. So, yun lang po. So, once again, thank you so much. And this is your Module 1. And see you on our next modules.